Now Little King posts this paperwork, right? And here's the thing I don't like about this paperwork. This is an actual case. For those of us that know, we know this is an actual case. Now let me read this paper.
King Harris just released documents that allegedly show 50 Cent cooperated with federal authorities, and the internet is completely losing its mind right now. We are talking about the same 50 Cent who built his brand on calling out snitches. The same rapper who turned Tekashi 6ix9ine into a non-stop joke for cooperating. Now King Harris claims he has court paperwork with 50's name written all over it, and Fif has finally responded. No exaggeration. This could become one of the biggest hip-hop scandals of 2024. The man who wrote Many Men and survived being shot 9 times. The same artist who mocked everyone from Ja Rule to Rick Ross over street credibility is now dealing with accusations that he informed on someone years ago. After King Harris shared those papers, 50 Cent broke his silence, and what he had to say might leave everyone stunned. Let me explain how this situation unfolded, because this conflict turned out far messier than anyone predicted. 50 Cent is considered hip-hop royalty. He has sold more than 30 million albums, survived a near-fatal shooting, and transformed himself into a mogul with a fortune worth hundreds of millions. His entire image is built on being untouchable, on staying authentic, on never retreating from a challenge. But King Harris, T.I.'s son, has now called into question everything 50 represents. This is not just another social media dispute. It is about reputation, about street principles, about what happens when someone challenges your whole legacy. And for 50, who spent 20 years ridiculing other rappers for being inauthentic, the situation feels different. The pressure is enormous because if these claims gain traction, it could reshape how people view one of hip-hop's most respected icons. To understand how this situation truly spiraled, we have to return to where everything began. Let's go back to early 2024. 50 Cent and T.I. had always maintained a friendly relationship. Two icons from different generations who respected each other's grind. But King Harris, T.I.'s 19-year-old son, was stepping into the spotlight, working to build his own identity in the industry. King stayed active on social media, showcasing his lifestyle, promoting his music, and at times behaving like a typical teenager with a famous father. That is when 50 started taking notice. Now 50 Cent has a long track record of trolling people on Instagram. It has practically become his second profession. He has targeted everyone from Diddy to his own son, Marquise. The man shows no favoritism when it comes to online feuds. So when King Harris began posting content that 50 found entertaining, Fif responded the way he usually does. He reposted the clips with clown emojis and sarcastic captions. At first, it looked harmless, just 50 being himself and cracking jokes. King Harris would upload something showing off, and 50 would repost it to his 30 million followers, with a line like "This is T.I.'s son," or "The youth is lost," typical internet trolling. But this is where it took a wild turn. King Harris did not retreat like most people usually do when 50 targets them. Instead, the young artist pushed back, telling 50 he was too grown to be focused on teenagers and accusing him of acting like a bully. That was probably the moment 50 could have ignored it, but he chose not to. The situation intensified when 50 Cent began sharing posts that crossed the line from simple jokes about King Harris. He started questioning T.I.'s parenting, suggesting that Tip could not manage his son, and implying that King lacked real street credibility. For a while, T.I. remained silent, likely hoping that his son and 50 would resolve it on their own, but 50 continued to apply pressure. Then he stepped over a boundary you simply do not cross in hip-hop. He dragged Tiny into the situation. Tamika "Tiny" Harris, T.I.'s wife and King's mother. 50 began posting about Tiny, commenting on her appearance, reviving old rumors, and openly disrespecting a woman who was not directly involved in the dispute. He shared side-by-side photos of Tiny from years ago and from the present, joking about plastic surgery and her looks. He also mentioned the past sexual assault allegations against T.I. and Tiny, which they denied and were never charged over. When King Harris saw those posts, he snapped. He went live on Instagram visibly furious, telling 50 that he had crossed the line. "You can say whatever you want about me, but you are not going to disrespect my mother. No, that is different. You just opened a door you cannot close, old man." The live stream pulled in over 200,000 viewers in real time, with the comment section going wild. Some people told King to calm down, warning that 50 would ruin him. Others argued that King had every right to defend his mother. But here is what really happened. King Harris was not just venting. He was putting something together that would shift the entire narrative. While 50 continued sharing memes and cracking jokes, King was digging into research, and what he uncovered had the potential to turn the situation upside down. The exchanges became heated across social media. 50 Cent, staying true to himself, refused to back off. He posted even more memes and jokes, acting as if King Harris was simply a loud kid who did not deserve to be taken seriously. He would repost King's content with captions like, "T, I come get your son before I really hurt his feelings," and "This boy thinks he is tough." King Harris continued to respond, growing more and more frustrated. He uploaded videos calling 50 a bully, claiming the rapper was insecure and needed to target younger people to remain relevant. "You are 48 years old worried about a teenager. That is crazy. You are supposed to be a mogul, but you stay on Instagram all day like a high school student." The remarks collected thousands of likes, and people began noticing that King was not backing down. T.I. eventually spoke about it during an interview, saying he still respected 50, but wished he would stop targeting his son. King is young. He is learning. He is maturing. I do not understand why 50 feels the need to keep going at him. That is not the 50 I know. But 50 did not seem bothered. He reposted T.I.'s interview clip with laughing emojis, continuing the trolling. Then, on March 15, 2024, King Harris shared something that made the entire internet freeze. It was a sequence of Instagram stories that included what looked like court documents. The caption said, "Since you want to talk about who is real and who is fake, let us talk about what you did in 2005. You are the biggest snitch in hip-hop, and everybody is afraid to admit it." The paperwork King uploaded appeared to come from a federal case, and 50 Cent's legal name, Curtis Jackson, was clearly visible throughout. Users immediately began taking screenshots and spreading the images across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Within an hour, both 50 Cent and King Harris were trending worldwide. This was no longer just another online dispute. This was an allegation that had the power to damage 50's entire reputation. Let me explain what King Harris claimed to expose, because this is where the details become important and the full context matters. The paperwork King shared was connected to a 2005 federal case involving a man named Kenneth Supreme McGriff. If you are familiar with 50 Cent's background, then you know Supreme played a significant role in his story. Kenneth McGriff was a well-known figure in Queens, New York. He led the Supreme Team, one of the most infamous drug organizations of the 1980s. By the early 2000s, McGriff was attempting to transition into the music business, but he had serious conflict with 50 Cent. Street rumors claimed McGriff was linked to the 2000 shooting in which 50 was hit 9 times. 50 survived and he never forgot it. In 2003, 50 Cent released Get Rich or Die Tryin' and rose to global stardom. He also dropped a track called Ghetto Quran that exposed the drug operations of several Queens dealers, including the Griff's Supreme Team. The song called out names, detailed money flows, described operations, and basically put people's business on display in the streets. McGriff was reportedly furious. Federal prosecutors claimed that McGriff allegedly ordered a hit on 50 Cent in retaliation. When that failed, he supposedly targeted individuals within 50's circle. In 2002, a man named Eric E. Moneybags Smith was killed. Smith was affiliated with Jammin' Jay from Run DMC. Later that same year, Jammin' Jay himself was murdered in his Queens studio. Federal investigators believe McGriff had ties to both killings, largely due to his ongoing feud with 50 Cent. This is where the court documents King Harris shared become relevant. The documents revealed that in 2005, as federal prosecutors were building their case against Kenneth McGriff, Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, was identified as a cooperating witness. This distinction is important because cooperation comes in different forms. Some witnesses are compelled to testify under subpoena, while others voluntarily provide information. The paperwork King Harris shared indicated that 50 had multiple meetings with federal agents and supplied details about McGriff's activities and threats. According to the filings, 50 Cent met with FBI agents on at least 3 occasions between 2003 and 2005. The documents noted that Jackson provided information regarding threats directed at him by McGriff and his associates. One specific document stated that Curtis Jackson gave detailed accounts of conversations and incidents involving Kenneth McGriff that supported other evidence in the investigation. But here is what made it even more damaging. The documents showed that 50 was not merely responding to a subpoena. He had voluntarily met with agents before being officially called to testify. In street code, there is a clear difference between being forced to testify in court, where everyone can see you had no choice, and voluntarily meeting with federal agents behind closed doors. The paperwork King Harris shared indicated the latter. One document that went viral was an FBI 302 form, which is the form agents use to record witness interviews. The form, dated August 2005, detailed a meeting in which Curtis Jackson provided information about McGriff's involvement in the music industry and his alleged criminal activities. It noted that Jackson was cooperative, forthcoming, and supplied valuable intelligence about the subject's operations and associations. Another document revealed that 50 Cent's testimony and information were used to obtain wiretaps on McGriff's phones. In federal cases, judges approve wiretaps only when there is probable cause, and witness testimony is often essential in establishing that probable cause. This means 50's cooperation was not casual. It was critical in building the case against McGriff. King Harris did not just share the documents and stop there. He went live on Instagram and explained exactly what they showed. You see this? This is the same man who built a career exposing snitches. He ruined Tekashi's reputation for cooperating. He went after gunplay. He targeted Ja Rule. He questioned everyone's street credibility. But the paperwork shows Curtis Jackson voluntarily met with federal agents multiple times, provided them with information, and actively helped construct the case. That is the definition of cooperating. The live stream drew over 500,000 viewers, with the comment section blowing up. Some defended 50, arguing he had a right to protect himself after surviving 9 gunshot wounds. Others insisted it did not matter. Cooperating with federal authorities makes you a snitch. The discussion was heated. King went on, saying, "I am not making this up. These are federal court documents, public record. You could check them yourselves. Case number 05CR05CR0539, United States versus Kenneth McGriff. Look it up. Curtis Jackson is listed as a witness who provided information to federal agents. And before anyone claims he was subpoenaed and had no choice, check the dates. He met with them before being officially called to testify. That is voluntary cooperation. The documents also uncovered another detail that made the situation even more complicated. In 2008, when McGriff's case went to trial, 50 Cent initially refused to testify in open court. He said he feared for his safety and did not want to be branded a snitch. The judge threatened to hold him in contempt. Ultimately, 50's attorneys negotiated a deal where his prior statements to federal agents could be submitted as evidence, but he would not have to appear in person. This allowed the jury to hear about his cooperation without him facing the public exposure of testifying on the stand. King Harris highlighted this as well. Look, he gave the feds all the information they needed, but then avoided testifying publicly because he knew how it would be perceived. He wanted to assist the feds, but not be seen doing it. That is even worse, honestly. At least own what you did. The documents revealed specific details that 50 had shared. According to the FBI 302 forms, Curtis Jackson informed agents about meetings where McGriff allegedly discussed drug operations. He provided information on McGriff's associates and their roles within the organization. He outlined threats made against him and explained the context of his song, Ghetto Quran, and why it had angered McGriff. All of this information was used by prosecutors to demonstrate motive, opportunity in McGriff's ongoing criminal activities. One document that stood out showed that 50 Cent had also provided details about McGriff's finances, including how he allegedly laundered drug money through investments in the music industry. This type of financial intelligence is exactly what federal prosecutors rely on to build RICO cases, and 50's cooperation was referenced multiple times in government filings. Kenneth McGriff was ultimately convicted in 2007 on murder and related charges and received a life sentence. The conviction relied on multiple witnesses and supporting evidence, but 50 Cent's cooperation played a key role in the prosecution's case. The judge noted in the sentencing that witness testimony regarding McGriff's threats and ongoing criminal activities demonstrated that he posed a serious danger to the community. For about 48 hours after King Harris shared the documents, 50 Cent remained silent. That was unusual for someone who was typically on Instagram every few hours. People speculated that his lawyers advised him to stay quiet or that he was planning how to respond. The silence made the situation worse because it gave the impression that 50 had no defense. Then, on March 17, 50 finally broke his silence. he posted a video on Instagram addressing the issue directly, saying, "You really think I am worried about some paperwork from 20 years ago?